Welcome agents, today the devs confirmed the episode 1 release date, along with more changes coming to skills and a lot more. Now I want to go over everything in this video, so if you do enjoy this one, please hit the like button below, subscribe for dedicated Division content, and let's get to it. So today we had Hamish, Chris Gandler and Bruce, and I want to get the big ticket item out of the way here. Early access to episode 1 will release on the 23rd of July, so that's in about 2 weeks for anyone who has the year 1 pass, and regular access will be on the 30th, so about 2 or 3 weeks away now. Early access gives you access to the 2 new main missions, Camp Oak White and Manning National Zoo, along with the 2 new classified assignments, Central Aquarium and NSA Site B13. The first site of the new Expeditions PvE mode will be released as well on this day. The devs also confirmed the other changes or additions that are not narrative driven, i.e. skill changes, will be coming out on the 23rd for everyone. The devs confirmed the second site for Expeditions will be coming on the 30th as well. Now this is all included in the infographic you can see here. The Discovery difficulty raid is confirmed to be dropping on the 23rd with the release of episode 1 early access and is available to everyone. The devs confirmed that they do not have a definitive loot pool on this one yet, or loot table on this mode yet, but wanted to reassure us that it's worth doing, but you're not going to get the same level of rewards as if you did the proper thing, for example. Following this, the devs did briefly discuss the Eagle Bearer and the discussion within the community about this weapon being a raid exclusive weapon. Now it's something they're still talking about, and further news on this will come at a later stage. To me it did sound like they were considering another way for this to be obtained. What would you agents think about the Eagle Bearer dropping from any other sources? I'd like you to leave your comments down below. I personally think it should only drop from the raid. I don't have it, but I do think there needs to be raid exclusive rewards. This being that, and I think once you remove that, then really people aren't going to be replaying the raid. They'll go through it once and that'll be it anyway. That's my little comment there. Now moving on, the devs showed 2 mission briefs for the new missions coming, which I will quickly show, but I will say there is spoilers here if you've not played through the entire campaign yet, so you have been warned. First we have Emmeline Shaw, the leader of the Outcasts, who we are trying to track down in the Manning National Zoo mission. And then we have this one of Andrew Ellis, the Speaker of the House, who has retreated to a government hideout and surrounded himself with Black Tusk at Camp White Oak. I have to say, I think these actually look really awesome. Imagine something like this, but we have sort of a synopsis of lore about that particular character that you could always refer back to in-game. I think that would be really, really cool. Anyway, next up, the devs talked about expeditions and what they are and why they're interesting. Now, Chris took this one and talked about them being a brand new PvE experience that combined the looter-shooter elements we've come to expect, along with some logic-applying situations and puzzles. He confirmed they were bigger than normal missions, and there is a premium reward for doing all 3 of the sites, along with backpack trophies and secret loot that they didn't actually want to talk about. I've not actually seen any footage of expeditions really, so I've got no idea whether they're actually any good, but I'm looking forward to playing them. They also confirmed expeditions are more like a weekly activity rather than a daily thing, and the mastery system that was showcased at E3, and it's something I actually completely forgot about, but that system will not be coming at launch of expeditions. They did say that they felt that the mastery system didn't accomplish what they wanted, so they are working on something better, which will come out at a later date, which will be part of the expeditions as well. Okay, moving on, and they addressed the Echo 2 errors on the PTS. They confirmed these were profile specific, meaning a lot of people were just unable to play the PTS, so what they decided to do was wipe all the characters and give everyone a template. That way everyone got to test the PTS. The devs moved on and talked about skills within the occupied dark zone. They've seen reports of skills being too strong, and the devs agree. With that said, they want skills to feel deadly. They kept saying that skills are coming, so they should feel deadly within TU5. Now I'm going to assume that for the 2 weeks before launch, the devs are going to tweak their damage modifier for the occupied dark zone, certainly for the projectile-based turrets and Stryker Drone, which they say have high damage, which is higher than they'd actually like it to be. Now moving on, an Expeditions and Skill Survey is currently up on the forums and Reddit, which the devs encourage us all to complete. I will leave a link to these in the description down below. Next up, the devs talked about the changes they made to Skill Haste on Friday during the PTS. They increased the Skill Haste generosity and lowered the base cooldowns on all skills, and they like where they are at now. In addition to this, they actually removed the 10-second minimum skill cooldown hard cap, and this has actually been lowered to 3 seconds now. The devs stated that mathematically it is possible to get cluster seeker mines down to 5 seconds now, but of course, that's going to require a lot of RNG, I imagine. They fixed an issue with the BTSU gloves which caused quick deploy skills to blow up and kill you. Also, they have fixed how the pulse interacts with the BTSU gloves. The devs confirmed that being pulsed is not a status effect, so it should not work with the BTSU gloves, so this has now been fixed. They have also increased the gunner grenade radius from 2 meters to 3 meters. And then Bruce went on to talk further about the skill changes that are coming. And now it's worth noting that these are not all of them, but this is a pretty extensive list from Bruce that I want you guys to... I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm simply going to play the clip from State of the Game and you guys can check it out. It's pretty long here, so enjoy.
The turret. So we increased the base damage of the assault turret by 22.5%. So with 3,000 skill power and a bunch of beefed up damage mods, that puppy does about 30,000 damage per shot right now. We've also increased the assault turret base duration from 120 seconds to 300, and the base turret platform's health by 100% as well. So it's more durable.
Good to know.
It's now more durable than the drone, which gets to the next one. So the Stryker Drone. The Stryker Drone's base damage was increased by 7.1%, which sounds conservative, and it's very conservative considering that the Stryker Drone's damage profile is quite low. It's a lot lower than the turret in particular. But the Stryker Drone is not really meant to be a killer. It's more of a nuisance, and it will flush targets from cover and annoy the AI. It's like bees, right? It's like, not the bees. Or one big bee, I guess. So we buffed its base damage a little bit, but here's the kicker. The Blitzkrieg Blasting Powder damage variant for the Stryker Drone, we buffed its damage increase from 200% to 600%.
Damn.
So if you want to, you can mod the Stryker Drone at endgame, and assuming you've got enough skill power, you can make it pretty murderous.
A very angry bumblebee.
A very, very angry bumblebee.
Okay,
yeah.
I like that.
We've also increased the base duration of all the drone platforms from 120 seconds to 300 seconds, just 5 minutes, so it's going to follow you. And really the intention is that the duration of the platform itself shouldn't really be a consideration.
I like that.
Yeah, it's more the intention is that you need to use your skill effectively and not just sort of like toss it into harm's way. And if you can preserve it, it will last the majority, if not the entirety of an encounter. That's the goal. So I think that will accomplish it. Accomplish that anyway. We've also normalized, I won't go into the nitty-gritty details, but we've normalized the health value of all drone platform variants to be the same for balancing purposes because there were some outliers there. Okay, the Seeker Mine. This one's cool. So the explosive Seeker Mine radius now correctly says 5 meters in the UI. It erroneously says 6 meters. The increased cluster seeker mine, we increased the cluster seeker mine explosion radius from 3 meters to 4 meters. So it should have an easier time catching people without necessarily being too overpowered.
Okay. All of these changes, they apply to PvE and PvP as well. And then I guess the damage modifier on top of that.
Yeah, so everything, the way the skills and PvP normalization works is that they're currently reduced by a percentage across the board. So anything that is changed here will affect the PvP landscape, but will still be affected by the normalization modifiers.
Yeah.
So a Stryker Drone is still doing less damage. The assault turret and the Stryker Drone are not doing 30,000 damage per shot to a player. They're doing less than that.
Yeah, but the ratio of the increase is the same.
Yes.
Yeah, when you apply the PvP modifier.
Yeah, so if we increase the turret damage by 10%, it's going to do 10% more damage in PvP.
Yeah. Cool.
Good clarification.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Oh,
or thank you, Ella, for putting it up on the screen and getting us to address it. So the UI, in addition to the fix to the explosive seeker mine radius and the cluster seeker mine radius increase, the UI now correctly shows that radius, whereas before it was smaller than it really was, and yeah, so
I like that.
We've cleaned that up.
That can be very confusing, like if you read something and then see something and it's not what you expect.
we and there's more. We did more fixes similar to that, but that's one I wanted to highlight in particular. So here's another big ticket change. Increase the explosive seeker mine's base damage by 25%. So which was already quite high, now it's higher. So the explosive seeker mine is the hardest hitting skill in the game. The one being closest to it is the bombardier drone.
Okay.
But the explosive seeker is king burst damage.
There you go.
Increased cluster seeker mine base damage by 42.8%.
Okay.
The intention here is to make sure that the cluster seeker remains the best thing. Its job is for clearing the trash. So it will absolutely murder red bar enemies in one go. Or noobs
Why am I
in the
red
DZ,
bar?
I guess. Maybe not. Okay. Increase the Mender Seeker Mine base duration from 120 seconds to 300 seconds. Again, 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The intention, again, is that it's not something, you should not be concerned about the duration. You should be concerned about keeping the Seeker Mender alive.
Yeah.
Firefly, we increased the Burster Firefly base damage by 6.7%. That's just to kind of like give it more of an identity from its counterpart, the Demolisher. Pulse, this is big. So we made lots of back-end fixes for consistency and usability, but one in particular that I think is going to make a lot of people happy is that the scanner pulse will now begin its cooldown after a 3-second delay upon activation, rather than at the end of the pulse effect's duration. Meaning, so we had behavior where you would pulse, and as long as there was something alive that was under the effect of the pulse, or was being affected by your pulse, the cooldown would not begin until that duration expired.
That's super annoying.
Right. So it essentially meaning if you invested in your pulse's duration, you were counterintuitively increasing consequently your cooldown, essentially.
Yeah.
So
I like that change.
if you attach skill haste, but then add duration, they're kind of not canceling each other out.
Yeah.
That's a behavior that obviously is not ideal. So we've completely removed the cooldown of the scanner pulse from its reliance on the duration.
Cool.
So now you can have a very short cooldown pulse and pulse
Away.
as much as you want.
I like that. It's also like more intuitive, right? Like you click the button and the cooldown after 3 seconds shows.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the Division 1 behavior. So
Oh yeah.
we're just sort of staying consistent with that.
Makes sense.
There has been a slight nerf to the Banshee pulse. Its cooldown was 40 seconds. It's now 60 seconds. But we made a bunch of fixes behind the scenes in order to make the Banshee pulse gain from the proper mods and not double dip from other things. So we made a nice consistency pass there. But unfortunately for people who were really happy with the cooldown on the Banshee pulse, unfortunately we had to increase it. And we've also removed its interaction with the radius increase mods. Okay. So a Banshee pulse that went further than you could snipe was unintended.
All right.
So that's a behavior you might have noticed on the PTS.
That's why we do the
fixed.
PTS. That's cool.
Yeah. And lastly, the Chem Launcher, we've increased the radius of the riot foam from 1.5 meters to 3 meters.
Damn.
I like
okay,
that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to catch people with it, and you can also increase that radius further with mods and whatnot.
So out of all of that, I personally think the change to Pulse, now allowing it to start the cooldown after a 3-second delay, is huge. A little bit bummed about the changes to the Banshee Pulse, to be honest. It's by far my favourite skill right now, but I had seen videos where the range was simply just too much. It was unbelievable, so maybe it was a good thing. We'll have to test it out. And lastly, the devs confirmed an apparel event is coming with TU5, which will include tactical shorts, and more to come on that next week. But that's really it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. I'm really looking forward to getting onto the early access of this new update, getting my hands on the new expeditions, new exotics, all the new skill changes. I'm actually looking forward for once to actually making a skill build, so that should be really, really cool. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did and you stuck around to the end, thank you very much, and until the next one, Epic out.